Breaker, breaker into the black. This is Long Haul Preacher and ain't going back.
Howdy, y'all. As you already should know, I'm out of state the second week of August. So this was recorded in July, posted at the beginning of August, and I'm not really here in my studio, or anyway, something like that. Now, a lot has happened since the start of this year and the new start of Long Haul Preachers podcasts, and I have been reading article after article about the stresses the pandemic has placed on family life. Call it cabin fever, call it too much closeness, call it what it is, too much of a lifestyle of doing our own thing, locked away and staring at a screen all day, and now finding we really do have to deal with what is real life with family. Now, there's nothing wrong with being stressed. I feel it too, and even my motto, God first, family second, and self last, has taken a toll lately, since now more than ever I feel locked away from my family, putting God first in doing both these podcasts and my theological and leadership schoolwork in my studio here. Just hoping that maybe one day I'll be able to integrate my family into it, maybe. We are more often together under the same roof anymore than any other time in the last 5 years, all thanks to the pandemic, and yet we're still separated. So let me give you and me a different spin on this idea of being together indoors. Instead of looking at this as a bad thing, let's look at this as an opportunity, believe it or not, to be a kid again. No, I'm not kidding. This is not just a let's take a vacation when we can't afford to do it idea, but a way of getting to know our kids better, a way for me to get to know my little 5-year-old Freya better, and a way for us to take back what has been lost in growing into adults. Now, haven't you ever wondered about that? We get out of school, we go to work, pay the bills, got married, we had kids, some of us sooner than others. When did we lose childhood? I found a clue in a lamentation I had the other day, and no, I don't mean a book in the Bible, though I suppose I could find enough verses for it to make sense. Facebook has this thing about showing so-called memories, past posts, and of course, 5 years ago, it was all about baby Freya. One picture after another pops up on my Facebook page once a day showing me Freya, and I have to admit, I miss those days, poopy diapers and all. Don't get me wrong, 5-year-old Freya is still a blessing. She is remarkable, she's intelligent. Okay, maybe a little spoiled, but she is awesome. Between the pictures and her pleading with me to play with her, though, I am thinking what a lot of parents end up thinking eventually. What happened to the time? Really, if I try to look back at my own childhood, this is the first question that comes to mind at 50 years of age. What happened to my childhood? What happened to being childlike? Here's the challenge then. How do we use this extra time we're getting with our children, with our family, to get back some of that old childhood feeling? Now, here's a few clues Freya has given me over the past few months. Number 1, imagination is far more than just solving problems. Freya is really into her dolls right now, whether big or small, and this means a lot of playtime pretending to be men, women, boys, girls, the occasional animal. Let's just say it gives my voice a workout. But the biggest workout is the imagination. She gets a kick out of me giving each of them a personality, and she gives her own dolls personalities. But it takes a bit of a workout if you haven't been doing it for a while. Number 2, children are a barometer of where your emotional climate is at. Now, Freya knows I am under a ton of pressure right now, late on getting started into doctoral research, having issues with my computer, so far behind in voiceover work. The very first thing she does when she gets home is she comes into my studio to check on me and give me a big hug. It isn't just because she's daddy's little girl, it is because she cares. Now, I have worked with enough families to know they eventually grow out of this for one reason or another, some sooner due to the climate of the household, and others later due to, I don't know, puberty. But for a while there, they really know how to get attention. And when they do, it is often due to the climate of the household or the individual they are particularly focused on. And right now, for Freya, that's me. But this also means that my stress is killing her. I need to take time to give the hugs, to play, to relax. There's a reason God gave the commandment of rest for the seventh day, and Israelites took on the rest of the seventh year as well. We are not meant to work all the time. Even children are only slowly brought up into schoolwork and work, most of their real work going into growth and finding themselves. Okay, now that one got long, so let's move on to the last clue, and I'll leave that with you. Number 3. Here's the big one. It is never too late to regain your childhood. I admit this is completely counter to my counseling training, but I am finding it is true. You can either let your childhood transform your adult life or hit that reset button and try again. I can't say that I had a miserable childhood, but there are a few things I would have changed if I could have. I don't intend for my daughter to miss out on any of those, though I'm sure she will look back to this time and think she lost out on some things as well. There's only so much time a person has, you know? Don't miss out. Take a chance. Have a second childhood with your kids. And really, that's what it's all about. Go to the zoo, at least when you can, right? Act like the monkeys and the chimps. Imagine what it is like to be a giraffe or an elephant. Take that time off when you need it, and we could all use some time off now and again. God made us that way. And learn what it is like to be a child again from your children. You haven't lost it. It just got lost for a while. Enjoy this time you have before it's gone. Now, here's a quick update on the whole need to replace the computer thing. As you know, this computer is currently dying a lot faster than I thought it was going to when I started the crowdfunding campaign. The August sermon had me rebooting the computer, just to give you an example, several times just to get finished with editing. And that was without even popping it onto SoundCloud and YouTube and Patreon and my website, let alone making a video version of it. And yes, someone asked me if I was doing audio only because of this. And the truth of the matter is that it is a combination of both. That and just, well, not having that time to do videos for such small audiences. No disrespect. It's been brought to my attention as well, however, that being an old Mac guy, having started off with the first Mac back in 1984 through the PowerPC age and so on, Apple is returning to making its own chips for its computers. Apple Silicon, already used in Apple Watch, iPhone, and iPad, is now slated to be added to the Mac lineup over a 2-year period. While Apple is currently giving a promise of full Intel support in the coming future, no less than 5 years, that does not necessarily mean other companies such as Microsoft will also follow this standard, making their Mac programs available to both. So I'm considering holding off as long as I can and waiting on Apple Silicon, especially since that means better recordings in Logic Pro X. After all, they wouldn't want to screw that up considering it's their own program. Now, to comment on that alone, just click on the link to the crowdfunding campaign and comment in the latest update talking about this. Thanks again for listening, folks. This has been a podcast of At His Feet PBC, doing business as Long Haul Preacher, copyright 2020, all rights reserved. And as usual, anything you want to rebroadcast or otherwise copy from this podcast, you can easily get permission for by emailing me at info@longhaulpreacher.space. That's all I ask. I am not looking to profit off of these. At least no time soon. Next podcast, I'll continue that story I started last time, though nobody responded when I asked you if you liked it or not. that will be my last work for now, unless I hear otherwise straight from you, the listener. So please comment on those ones if you actually like them. If you don't like them, if you want something different, say something. Okay, until next time, this is Long Haul Preacher saying put God first, family second, and yourself last. God bless. Howdy, everyone. This is a post-recording made and added August 30th to the 3 now late podcasts for August, announcing the end of the podcast for 2020. The reason is simple. Nobody's listening, or at the very least, nobody's admitting to it. No likes, no comments, no shares. And this computer has to last me until I can replace it, which at the moment appears to be completely out of pocket, just like when I started back in 2015. In fact, come to think of it, this is the same computer. For a guy who started this to attempt to pay for things like diapers 5 years ago, not a single penny going back into the infrastructure of this podcast or anything else, that's saying a lot. It says that if nobody's listening, which I do not believe is entirely true, if nobody is listening, it is, for whatever reason, not doing nearly enough for God's kingdom. It is not spreading. I have to laugh a little since many of my Facebook friends are out of the Master in Divinity program or consider themselves devout Christians, but that's the way it goes. Either my flavor of theology is not good enough or is too good, and either way, my podcasts are going nowhere. Not even the ones I've done for entertainment. On top of that, I went to Arizona, survived, and returned to find that the doctoral program is, well, not for anyone who thinks he might have any kind of extra time on his hands. If it is not helping either God or my family get through the next few years while I finish this doctorate, it needs to be set aside. I don't have time for hobbies. Prove me wrong. If this podcast income were to be put, for example, into just the electricity to run everything, it would not have run at all. It would have long since failed. Though maybe I should have found a pedal generator just to keep the weight off all the while. So let's just move on. I do not have time for hobbies. I have not any time at all for the next 3 or more years. So I thank you, few who have joined me over the past few years, and the fewer still who have liked, commented, and contributed in some way to any of the podcasts. But for now, this is Long Haul, signing off. God bless.